A delay to the America's Cup match due to Auckland's lockdown. It's hoped we'll be racing on Wednesday in the best of 13 race series between defender Team New Zealand and Prada Cup winner Luna Rossa. AUT sailing professor Mark Orams and American Magic helmsman Dean Barker join me, Matt Brown, via Zoom for this special edition of your America's Cup show, Beyond the Cup. Dean, thanks for joining us. How's lockdown treated you? What have you been up to?
It's been great. It's just a good opportunity to catch up on a lot of jobs that normally sort of get palmed off. Yeah, it's good. It's obviously much prefer to be out there watching racing and things this weekend, and with the country sort of under control. But it's government's done a great job to this point, so we just got to keep embracing keeping everyone safe.
Well, Marco, AUT sailing professor, no doubt a fair bit of Zooming for you this week too. But how do you think the teams would have been approaching the extra 5 days of preparation?
Oh, I think both teams will have been quite grateful that under Alert Level 3, they are given an exemption to continue with their training. So outside of having to adopt the protocols that the Ministry of Health sets down under Alert Level 3, they're very fortunate as a commercial operation, as they've been deemed to be from a maritime perspective, that they can continue to go out and train and refine. They did have to measure in on Monday, so they're in their race configurations for the America's Cup now. And so they'll just be going out and doing their final preparations and bedding in their race setups over a range of conditions.
Well, 3.5 years in the making. It's very close to a start. Dean, looking at the two teams, their design, their preparation, how do you see it unfolding?
Well, yeah, I think Team New Zealand is definitely they've gone down a very defined, clear path, which is different to where Luna Rossa is. They have much smaller foils. They've got the flat foils as opposed to the anhedrals that the other challengers had. So there's some significant differences there. I think you would expect that the boats are going to have their strengths and weaknesses. So I think a big part of the performance could well be predicated on what wind speeds they race in. So at the moment, it's sort of the general feeling from the armchair experts is that the lighter airs will probably sort of favour the Luna Rossa and their strengths there, the ability to manoeuvre well in the lighter winds, and then as the breeze increases, expecting Team New Zealand to get stronger relative to Luna Rossa. So who knows? I'm sure everyone could find they're proven wrong, and we see Team New Zealand come flying out of the blocks in the lighter air and be just as strong as what they are expected to be uprange. So it's the fantastic thing. That's the intrigue with the America's Cup. It's the nice thing about going back to a more traditional style where you don't know until they line up for the first time in race one really where they sit. And so I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that with different opinions proven right or wrong as we go through it all.
And Marco, your thoughts?
Somebody's got it right, or more right than the other, and at the moment the general consensus seems to be that Team New Zealand in a straight line is likely to have a boat speed edge. Now that's just speculation. The only people who really know that are probably the people within Emirates Team New Zealand. They've had the benefit of being able to see the performance of Luna Rossa and to get some data that's available, such that it is via the television coverage of the Prada Cup. Whereas, of course, Luna Rossa, despite all of their intel gathering, won't have a true sense of where Team New Zealand is at. So it will be fascinating, as it has been throughout the America's Cup history, that first beat of the first race, just to see how these two machines line up. Cannot wait to get things underway and just see how these two amazing machines stack up against each other.
Dean, who do you think the delay benefits the most?
I don't really think it favours one or the other, to be honest. I think they're both itching to get out there. They've been focused on being ready for Saturday. Clearly that is no longer happening. So they would have just reset their programs to set up for a Wednesday start, and I'm sure they're working around the best sailing days they've got, working on the sort of the areas that they feel probably can still be improved, or any of the weaknesses that they perceive, and then just getting reset for ripping into it Wednesday.
Marco, how concerning for Team New Zealand that it's now more than 2 months since they raced another team in earnest, other than their chase boat?
Yeah, I think they're probably more comfortable now than they were. When you're sitting training on your own and watching two competitors really duke it out on the racecourse as they have been during the Prada Cup semi-finals and finals, you get, or at least I did, a little bit anxious about not having the opportunity to do the same yourself. You feel a little bit like you're playing on your own, and yes, you can simulate starts against an opponent back in the simulator, or you can use your chase boat, but it's not the same. I think now that Luna Rossa is in exactly the same situation will reduce some of that anxiety. There are only 2 remaining, and of course, as time's gone on, that feeling race ready that came out of the end of the Prada Cup finals starts to dissipate, because it's now weeks behind us. So I think from a Emirates Team New Zealand perspective, they'll be feeling comfortable, they'll be feeling prepared and ready to go.
Dean, it's understood Team New Zealand have developed their dual helming capabilities beyond the starting zone, trialling on the racecourse without the crew changing sides during tacks and jibes. How beneficial do you think this will be?
Well, it's very hard when you're not sort of in there seeing firsthand what's going on. It would certainly make sense that if Team New Zealand's checked in with that as an option, whether they feel it's good, bad, or indifferent. But there's certainly benefits in the way Luna Rossa has been set up with Jimmy and Francesco sharing the sort of the roles side to side, and the ability it gives them for boat positioning, particularly around the start line and the close boat on boat situation. So I think if Team New Zealand has been checking them with that, I think it's certainly something that would be very worthwhile doing. They've certainly got the skill set amongst their sailing team to manage that equally as well. I probably disagree just slightly with what Marco said, just in terms of, I think Luna Rossa certainly are going to have the momentum going into race 1, just having been through this scenario so many times. Yes, it is a couple, 2 or 3 weeks since their last race, but it is going to be tough for Team New Zealand to go out there without having had a race for so long and expect everything to work well. I think the chances of making small mistakes, at the crucial moments, in the early races, I think is probably slightly higher than what Luna Rossa face. But I think the quality of the people there, they'll be ready to go for sure.
Marco, do you think the series is going to come down to the superior starting prowess of Luna Rossa versus the greater boat speed of Team New Zealand?
I think that very much depends on the differential in boat speed. If the boats are close, as we saw in the upper wind strengths with Ineos Team UK and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, then the starts, and particularly the first part of the first beat, become really important. However, if there is a significant difference in boat speed, then eventually that will prevail over a 13 race series. So like Dino has suggested, I think early on in this series, we can expect some rust, if I can call it that, from Emirates Team New Zealand, and potentially some mistakes. But if they do have a significant speed edge, eventually that will prevail. And the history in the America's Cup shows that that has always been the case.
Dean, what about the weaknesses? I mean, everyone's got to have a weak point, don't they? Team New Zealand, for you, is there a weakness?
When you look at the quality of the guys on the boat, right through the boat, it's they're no strangers to high pressure situations and getting thrown in the deep end. So they'll be just fine in that respect. But as we've seen in all the races, particularly in the Prada Cup final, with just that split-second decision-making, particularly in the start box, how crucial all that is, and sort of not having had the benefit of doing that over and over again. To me, that's just the one area where Team New Zealand are going to have to really work hard to counteract the strengths of Luna Rossa.
And what about the weaknesses for the Italians?
If I was going to pick one weakness, I'd say, perceived weakness will be how they stack up in terms of boat speed around the course, both upwind, downwind, and certainly as the breeze builds sort of much above that 11, 12 knots.
Racing is due to start with 2 races on Wednesday, 2 on Friday, and then every day until one team reaches 7 wins. You can listen to live radio commentary with official broadcast partner News Talk ZB and Gold AM with PJ Montgomery and Chris Steele, and streaming on iHeartRadio. Download from your app store if you haven't already. Marco will be live blogging throughout the races as well as providing preview and review shows on each day of racing. Thanks very much, Dean Barker, for your time once again. Enjoy the racing next week.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
And AUT Sailing Professor, as always, Mark Orams, thanks for your time. I know you just can't wait for this regatta to get underway.
Really looking forward to it, Matt. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of Beyond the Cup.